Hey all, Samwise here, your local community herbalist. I do not know what's going on with my hair, but hope you enjoy it. Today we're talking about the herb of the month for July, which out here in Oakland, they're still going, is rose. Rose, it's such a captivating, powerful, transcendent, full of lore and just really big plant energy. And I've been like wanting to do an herb of the month on rose, and I'm like, well, like when's the good time? Because it's like rose is so like rose. And it's the month. I like took a walk around my neighborhood and I was like, what's calling to me? And it's rose. So yeah, here we are. And I really think about rose being first and foremost heart medicine, like on an energetic level. It's really about supporting the opening of the heart, but in a balanced and safe and boundaried way. We have like the beautiful blossoms that are so multi-layered and can hold so much like vitality, and some pretty fierce thorns, which if you've ever done any pruning of roses, can really sneak up on you and get pretty fierce. So yeah. And then energetically, like either through the essential oil on your skin, like there's so many accounts in different cultures of using rose to anoint oneself, both in like ritual or to wash the dead, or to help with grieving, to help with like big emotions. And yeah, something that I was learning in my research about rose. Well, first of all, it's really closely associated with divinity, like many different kinds, or many different deities, gods and goddesses have lore around or connected to roses. Lakshmi in the Hindu tradition was said to be born from 108 large and 1,008 small white rose petals, and also associated with Isis, an Egyptian deity. Aphrodite has an interesting, there's I think a few rose Aphrodite pairings, but there's an interesting one about Aphrodite following Adonis in pursuit, like in like amorous pursuit, and cuts her feet on Rose's thorns, which I think is an interesting image. And yeah, in Roman cultures, it was a big deal. Like the aristocracy of that time, and um, the political leaders were big into roses, and would and have the association of like roses and secrets and like holding secrets, which I think is really interesting. And I like to think about this like association with like the very tightly wrapped rosebud holding this like immense beauty and complicated depth, and yeah, like holding those close until it's ready to bloom. And so there's lore around like if there was a meeting or like a some conference that needed to be held in confidence, then roses would be held like over the meetings, like pointed down, and that meeting was said to be sub rosa, or like beneath the rose, and that was like to hold all what was said in confidence, which is the name of an anarchist space in Santa Cruz, which I didn't make that connection until I was doing that research. And so I love that there's like, yeah, the holding of confidence, which can be helpful in those spaces. And yeah, I just want to share a little bit of like my personal connection with rose as being this like really both heart softening and strengthening quality, like that again, that duality, or that multifacetedness of the tenderness and the gentleness, and this like strength and like boundariedness at the same time. Lots of stories about knights in different parts of Europe, like having the emblem of the rose on their armor or their banner to hold both of those, because I think you, especially if you're encountering a lot of violence, which I imagine that they did, having the energy of the rose to help open to tenderness can be helpful after being closed for a long time, or always being closed. So yeah, that's kind of how I use it on like an essence level. Like if I'm using rose essence, I'm wanting to open to love and like a joyous love that's healing. And I got to see that recently in like a really beautiful tea ritual with essences, and I witnessed an opening of spirit that wasn't as readily open as before. That was really magical, and I felt that in myself as well. And that's a quality that a lot of people have noticed, and I feel inspired to share. So I use an oracle deck and a tarot deck for divination, and one of the decks that I use is the Pythia Botanical Oracle, which is made by Nicole Rallis, and their company is called Layla plus Olive. And I wanted to share with you, there's so different plants, different associations. Here's their image for rose, which I think is really beautiful. And there's poems to go along with each image that they create. And here's what they have to say about rose. So, rose is open hearts, a card that inverts traditional understandings of love. To be sure, purity, beauty, desire, and other amorous pleasures abound for the reader. But Pythia's rose means more than that. It is a beacon of compassion, a call to heal through ecstasy and absolve through bliss. And that's like really, I think that's so beautiful and spot on. I'm gonna say it again. A beacon of compassion, a call to heal through ecstasy and absolve through bliss. So like this healing through joy, this like ebullient joy, and forgiveness through bliss. Absolve, to release or to let go. And if that's not the heart medicine I need in this time, I don't know what is. I imagine other people might feel the same way. Like our culture is pretty love-starved and pretty conditional, and like I know that I grew up with some like a feeling of scarcity of love and connection overall, like on a societal and interpersonal level. And roses really help me open to the divine, open to like that divine love that's running through all things all the time and kind of holding things together like a fabric, and really helps me to open to that bliss and filling my heart so that I can move in the world with compassion, which is ultimately more protective, I've found, as a way to move through the world. So that's rose. If you have good rose stories, oh, do I want to hear them. And, roses are associated with grief and death and, big energies, big, like, more than human energies. And so, I'd love to hear them. You can send me a message or write a comment. And I'm hoping to get some good rose stories, or at least some good rose lore for the podcast this month. And also, heads up, I have one more month, and then I'm going to go on sabbatical for 2 months. In August and September is the month that comes after August, and we're moving to Ohio, so we're moving our whole lives. Here's my apartment right now. It actually looks really great for what's happening. So just heads up that is coming, but I'll be excited to rest and recuperate and dream up more magic and plant lore and medicine and learnings to offer in the fall times. But yeah, this month, going out with a bang, rose. So I hope you get to stick your nose in some good ones, and see you next time.